Just us waving our hands in the air, singing the Unpop song. It's going to be fucking great. What did you just open? What is that?
Zero sugar Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream.
I want one.
I am on a health kick as of recent. My meal prep this week is chicken Caesar wraps with like popcorn chicken with rice for dinner with cucumber salad.
I love that your health kick includes Dr. Pepper.
Zero sugar, Kevin.
Yep. Yes, 100%.
It's better.
We will not unpack any of this and ruin it for you.
No,
yes.
because it helps me not have the regular one.
It's better for you.
It's better for me. It is theoretically better for me.
Yes. Yes.
Right,
you are on a wonderful theoretical health kick this week. I'm
yes,
very
because
happy.
I live a wonderful theoretical life.
Theoretically healthy. Just sitting down in the doctor's office. All right, would you consider yourself healthy? Theoretically.
Do you know why I was a little late? You want to know what I was doing?
Being theoretically healthy.
Do you know why I was? You know what I was doing? I was finishing up my protein homemade Pop-Tarts that I made for my breakfast. My protein
Pop-Tarts?
Yeah, bro. Why are you laughing at me? I'm serious.
I believe in you.
It's easy. You just make pastry dough from scratch, which isn't a lot, and then you make just a natural like fruit filling. I did blueberry, no sugar added, and then for the icing, I did protein powder with like almond milk.
That's great.
Mix that together a little bit, and bang, bang, boom.
I love it. I love it.
With zero sugar Dr. Pepper.
I love it. Yes, you're very healthy.
And my coffee.
Applause. So happy for you.
Thank you. I'm happy for me too.
Good. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're theoretically healthy. That's what I'm taking away from this. That's my favorite thing today is theoretically healthy. That and hobby jobbies are my two favorite things this week. This is our hobby jobby. Welcome back to our Unpop hobby jobby.
Shall we get this hobby jobby started?
We should. Cue the theme music.
Me?
Yes.
Oh. Reverse Uno card.
Oh, shit. All right, I'll cue the theme music.
Good job.
Is it playing?
It's playing.
I did it! All right.
Proud of you.
Thanks. Hold on, let it play. Hold on, let it finish.
You know, you can just play it and we can come in whenever.
No, hold on. Let it finish.
We don't have to wait the actual time.
All right, there it is. Welcome back to another episode of the Unpop Podcast. I am your host and Capitan Todo El Siempre. I am in charge of the ship, and we will make it through the Magellan's Pass. Kevin Miner, he, him. With me, as always, is
Odie Matthews, the chef, cooking up content, confused on why we're going through the Magellan's Pass, because I feel like we have a mystery to solve. They, them.
What's the mystery?
That's my whole title.
I feel like we have a mystery to solve. They, them.
That's my whole title.
What is the mystery we're solving this week?
Well, you have a specific topic that involves a murder mystery.
I do.
Or,
I did
or
have.
am I mistaken?
Yes. No, I do, but let's cover a couple things real quick. Big things happening this week. Big
news,
things happening this week. Big news, MegaFLOPolis. Also,
I'm gonna just check on that real quick.
Okay, big news, big things happening this week. One of those big things, Maggie Smith, R.I.P. baby.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Yes, not. I know
Downton Abbey.
Everybody knows actors and actresses from different things, right? I know this, right? She was in A Room with a View, baby. All right.
She was also in Downton Abbey.
Fucking award-winning movie, Room with a View. She's in so many amazing things that it's hard to like pinpoint which one. Right. I'm sure a lot of people who know her from post 2000 are like, you know, that's what they're gonna grab onto. But Maggie Smith was in some phenomenal shit back in the day. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Room with the I actually that's kind of what I go back to and I think of is her in like Room with a View, Sister Act. Come on.
Sister Act 2.
Let's just keep throwing it now. But anyway, like here's a funny thing. How do you like what do you think I'm going to ask you this.
Ask me this.
Cuz I already have a cutoff age.
There's nobody else you can ask.
Yes.
It's just me.
Yes. Hold on. Let me ask you this over here, you random person in my room. No, just
you live audience.
Just turn. So what is the cutoff age for you where you're like, wow, that person made it, and you don't feel so bad about their passing? Like I get it. We always feel bad when somebody passes. It's a nice
How old was Maggie
reminder
Smith?
of our mortality. She was 89.
That's up there. That's a good innings.
I think she was 89. She was late 80s.
I would say late 80s.
I feel like if you make it to like 83 or beyond, you have crushed it. Right?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Because that's old.
Yeah, and so like, when people, this is gonna sound weird to talk about in the beginning. Well, no, fuck it. I've got a strong stance on this. I affirm, like, I honestly, I don't react as strongly when someone is like, when someone who I know is like well into their 80s like passes. I'm like, wow, awesome. Like they really had a fulfilling life, like a celebrity. Like I'm like, wow, they had a fulfilling life. Look at all the cool things that they did. I don't go, oh my God, they'll be so missed. I'm like, no, I already was missing them. They weren't doing as much as they were doing in their prime. You know, like
exactly.
Yeah.
Most of them don't do a lot towards the end anyway.
Exactly. You know, it's not like everybody's gonna be Bruce Willis. And
well, no, even he's done.
And not everybody gets to be posthumously in movies, like like Rook in fucking Romulus.
Oh, right.
Like but who knows? Maybe they will be posthumously in movies like Princess Leia. And that's the weird thing, like the absurdity of death in the real world and how it doesn't necessarily play out into like or rather death in the real world not affecting the ability to appear in something where you've been CGI'd posthumously.
Yeah.
That to me is like, that's enough absurdity that I'm like, when someone dies, I'm like, but are they really gone? I don't know. Are we going to get a Maggie Smith hologram at Coachella next year? What's up?
There's actually like a rumor that they're going to bring Paul Walker back for the last Fast and the Furious.
That would be... I mean, okay.
We're going to be there.
Okay.
Kevin, you and I are going to be there next May for Fast X Part 2, number 11. The biggest Fast and Furious event, the biggest event in the world. We'll have a video. You and I will have front row seats with custom merch and custom cups.
You make me watch so many bad movies.
You're welcome.
I'm not. I don't feel very welcomed by these movies.
Fulfilled.
Okay, great. Oh, you're just like fucking Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast. You're like, be our guest. You can sit and watch this shite. Like, just fucking.
Yeah, well, name one bad movie that you didn't have fun with.
I actually really did not have fun watching Borderlands.
Okay.
That was not. Okay.
We had a great conversation.
Having fun with you after watching a bad movie doesn't make the movie better.
It makes it all worth it, though.
Right? Like,
makes it all worth it.
That doesn't change my memory of the bad film that I watched.
Nah, but it makes it worth it, which negates that bad experience.
But each of them does tarnish my soul a bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, I just watched Alone in the Dark today. The
yes.
Uwe Boll. Uwe Boll. The director's like Uwe Boll, I think his name is, or whatever.
I don't know.
I don't know what that movie was about.
That's fine. I mean,
it was weird.
There's a lot of riveting drivel that comes out nowadays.
It's so bad. It's not as bad as Slender Man. That movie was awful.
Ooh, yeah, you've been watching here, and I get it. This is your career now. You watch bad movies for a living. This is what you do. When people ask you your job in the future, you'd be like, "I watch bad movies for a living. That's what I get paid to do."
That'll be the best
internet.
Conversation at a supermarket. Old lady, like, just because it's usually an old lady that asks those random questions.
What do you do for a living, like, young sir?
Yeah, I'll be like checking out, and she'll be my cashier, and she'll be like, "What do you do?" And I'll be like, "I watch bad movies for a living," and she'll just put her head down and keep scanning and not say another word.
She'll be like,
she'll just be done.
If she's old enough, she'll just be like, "We should have let the Germans win." We should have like just shaking her head. Okay. So I did want to bring up something else. This is something we've talked about this a few times. We've talked about toxic fandom. And we're a happy-go-lucky podcast for the most part. I do want to talk about this though. This week, big news. Magic the Gathering, a format that I play. there were 4 cards that got banned from a format that I love and play the most, which is Commander, right? So Commander is it's a game within a game, right? Like there's different ways that you can play certain games. Magic the Gathering has different formats. One is Commander. It's 100 card singleton. You cannot have any duplicates of any cards in your deck unless the cards state otherwise, right? Which is confusing enough as it is. But the 4 cards that got banned were 4. Well, one was one of the most powerful commanders that's ever been made. So powerful that Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast, who own Magic the Gathering under Hasbro, admitted that it was a design mistake. Nobody misses that card except for people who liked playing that card because they're tools. The one card that got banned was a card called Dockside Extortionist, which sounds very aggressive, but it was actually a very playful goblin that would make lots of treasure. So very fun. It was one of the cards that I would take out of my decks because I realized how powerful it was and just how quickly it could swing a game in my favor. So I did take it out of mine. That was me saying, I don't want to play this card, but I'm okay playing against it, right? Yeah. Another card and Dockside Extortionist, mind you, was made for the Commander format, so it was made for this format, just got banned in this format. Then they also banned Jeweled Lotus, which is like one of the most popular and like iconic cards for Commander. Like it literally was made for Commander. It sacrifices to produce mana, usually to not usually, to get your Commander out on the battlefield sooner. It was banned, and then Mana.
Wait, can I guess the last one? Can I guess the last one?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna guess Charizard.
No, it was Mana Crypt.
I was close.
Yes, Mana Crypt. All right, Mana Crypt. So 3 of these cards fall under what are called fast mana cards, right? So fast mana is the resource that you use to be able to play other cards in Magic the Gathering. I'm not going to get into a in-depth explanation of how the entire game works, but basically these are the cards that make it so you can play the other cards that you love playing with. This was huge. This has never happened before. They've never banned this much. And there's an interesting portion of Magic the Gathering that doesn't exist in a lot of other games, but it does exist in some other games that have microtransactions. And that is a secondary market. So in Magic, cards come out. They have value attached to them based on how likely they are to be played, how interesting they look, different foiling techniques, how rare they are to find. Like there's a lot of things that can impact the literal price of a card. And when you start explaining it to anybody who's never played Magic the Gathering before, they're like, holy shit, that sounds fucking insane. Like when I hold up one of my Commander decks and I go, this stack of cards is worth $1,500. Someone goes,
comprehend.
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
It is, and I have that deck. And there are many people who have. Post Malone has a deck that he plays that's worth $21,000. Like
that's awesome.
The card, it's great. Whatever. But so these cards that got banned on the secondary market, Mana Crypt was worth $180. Jeweled Lotus, for a lot of the printings of it, were worth upwards of $200+. Dockside Extortionist, $80. These 3 cards that got banned cumulatively, just having 3 of them at one of their best printings, say you had the best version of them, one of the rarest ones to find, and you had to take these out of your deck just lost, roughly, based on the highest printed cost, $500 of value in an announcement, which is wild. Can you fathom someone just going, by the way, you can't play with those anymore, $500 of value gone?
Wow, that would
How'd you feel?
Well, I don't know. I guess it depends, though, because the people that have these cards probably don't have the intention of selling them, really, because if they're in your deck that you play, I would imagine I would imagine you're not selling them. Not really.
No, and I'll give you my opinion on this in a second, but I did want to paint the picture of just what the scope of that decision. Now, bear in mind, there are thousands of decks that have these cards in them, right? So people are unsleeving them, taking them out because they want to adhere to the format. Now, This comes from a committee that's called the Commander, not the Commander Advisory Committee, but the Commander Rules Commission, the CRC. So the Commander Rules Commission issues the decisions on stuff like this. They said that they were trying to make the conversation easier for people who are coming into Commander. They were trying to make it easier for people to get into Commander, which does make sense because there's nothing worse than like showing up to a game, getting absolutely stomped, and then being like, I hate this fucking game, right? There's nothing worse. Like, you show up and you're like, oh, this will be fun, and then someone's like, actually, it's going to be nothing but pain for you. You would not want to play that game. So, like, there are some arguments that make sense, but they did it all at once, and this has never happened before, and we don't know if it'll ever happen again. But the response to it was, and it did not surprise me, and it's just a shame that it didn't surprise me, people in the community issuing literal death threats to the Commander Advisory Group and the Commander Rules Commission.
Of course they are.
Yeah. Or Commander Rules Committee, sorry. Literal death threats, so much so, and so many of them went to one of the, because a lot of the people are like, they're representatives of the entire format. They're also popular in the culture of Magic the Gathering. Josh Lee Kwai resigned from the Commander Advisory Group. I'm assuming part of it had to do with this reaction, like maybe straw on the camel's back or something. But he resigned the same week. Olivia Gober Hicks, probably one of the nicest, coolest, most interesting people promoting Magic online, like as far as content goes, like very wholesome, plays a thing called Commander at Home with her husband. They bring on guests from all over the Magic community. They fly them in and play awesome games. Their dogs are often featured in the episode. Just very wholesome person. Literal death threats going her way. So much so that one of the other members of the Commander Rules Committee came out and said, actually, she was against this and proposed a completely different process. And like, it fucking blows my mind, but it doesn't. It blows my mind that it's not surprising that people, just normal people, could be so toxic as to think that a game change, a rule change, regardless of how it affects your your equity, right, in a game stake. But let's be real, you're investing in game pieces. Okay, first off, you're investing in game pieces, and yes, there's art on them. There's a lot of other things that we can break down there. I have cards that are worth upwards of $150 to $200 myself. It's fine. If they got banned, I would just be like, oh, well, that sucks. I wouldn't like go and be like, how dare you ban this card? I actually, like I said, I was already, to give you my perspective on this, because this was really interesting to watch. I got a lot of texts this week from friends who play with me and have played with me, and they're like, what do you think about the bans? And I was like, well, first off, I'm for the bans. I just think this was a bad way to do it. Like, doing all of these at once, that fucking sucks. Each one of these is a pain point for somebody, right? Because they have one in their deck, or they got lucky and pulled one, because you open packs of cards, and like, it's not like you can go out and intentionally buy them, that's fine, but you're spending $80 on a card, or you can open a pack and get lucky and have one and put it into a deck, right? But doing all of these all at once, insane, right? Because it's a huge hit to the community.
Seems like a lot.
Yeah, well, it's like, we played Destiny together. Every once in a while it'd be like, Bungie nerfed this and this and that. This is insane. The community would be in an uproar. It's very similar to that, right?
I very rarely cared. Very rarely was like,
Same.
I was like, oh.
Same.
Oh, will they nerf this? I'm still going to use it because I like the gut. I don't really care.
Exactly. But
everything dies eventually.
And then the thing that really, I think what's going to create a really interesting cultural shift for this physical and digital card game is that a lot of people are like, oh, well, what are we even doing? If you're the rules committee and you're just coming out to ban things and you're going to do it in this way, but then you're telling us that we have to be responsible and have the rule zero conversation. Rule zero is when you sit down at a table and you go, hey, I have a banned card in this deck, but I really like playing this deck and I really like having this card in it. Is everyone at the table cool with it? because there are still cards that are just banned in Magic in general, right? But people will sit down, they'll say, hey, just so you know, like you're supposed to have that conversation. If you don't have that conversation, then you play a banned card, someone at the table can rightfully go, hey, you didn't really tell us that was in there, and that sucks. So, no, like, you can't play that. But, like, there's so much that they've put on the community to have this Rule Zero conversation, right? And to, like, let people know you're essentially supposed to have a discussion before you play, especially with new people or strangers, like, hey, here's my deck. I don't really want to tell you exactly what it does because that's kind of the fun part, but I've got this card in it and this card in it. If they're banned or like, you know, they're super powerful, you can kind of let people know. Give them an idea of what they're about to go up against because a lot of this is played casual. It's called kitchen table Magic, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun. Exactly. And, you know, like it's just really, it's such a interesting thing and maybe something that I might like to start bringing up more when you and I are talking on the podcast, like what's going on in that realm because of the fact that it's a game, but also a subculture and also like a form of literature. And there's going to be a show attached to it. And then there's the secondary market where that literally behaves like a pseudo stock market. Like it's a prototype for stocks and bonds. Like you're like, oh yeah, this card we'll be able to have long investment value in this. Like we can hold a long position on this and the value will probably go up over time. Or I can hold a short position and hope the value is going to go up shortly real quick, which I do all the time with cards. I can tell you half of the reason I have really expensive decks is because I know the timing and when a card peaks so I can go sell that card for the maximum value. And then and what I really do is I trade it for store value, and then I end up getting more cards out of that, and then I do the same process over again. So I'm holding what are called short positions. Well, yeah. Anyway, I'm holding cards in a fashion and then selling them in a way that nets me profit, so that I can then
you're funding your own ability to grow more.
Yeah, and then I just reinvest the profit into the game pieces that I use. But like, a lot of people do that, and a lot of people take really big risks in holding onto these huge cards. And then it makes sense that they would get mad. But once again, and I feel like we've mentioned this before, and I feel like anytime something like this happens, it's good to have an educational message. You know what? I'm going to put a little educational message soundbite right here. I don't know. No, that's not it. I'm going to put it right here. No, stop it.
Oh, okay.
It's right here. No, it's right here. And then, and then, and the message is, don't issue people you've never met who are just fulfilling a responsibility to a fucking made-up game death threats. Don't be a bad person. We don't have time for that. Thank you.
He's done it, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. He's done it. He's figured it out.
Why am I giving the Captain America proto speech from the middle of the Falcon and Winter Soldier season where it's like, we gotta do better, like all of us, Mr. President, randomly standing here on this street with me.
Forgot about that.
We gotta do better. Anyway,
we gotta do better.
So that happened this week.
That happened.
Yep. Magic the Gathering, big bands, bam,
bam.
Yep. And then Clue.
And then Clue.
And then Clue. Wait, and then you saw MegaFLOPolis. How was it?
Oh,
Hit
Kevin.
Me.
Oh, Kevin.
Was it
okay?
Was it horrible?
I don't know.
On a scale of
hold on, because it's hard for me to figure out this movie, and I actually might.
Was it a MegaFLOPolis or a mega-flop-olis?
I don't know. Like,
come on, that was hilarious. MegaFLOPolis. Come on,
so Kevin, hilarious.
Thank you.
I'm sure everyone's laughing their ass off at work listening to this. I might go see it again on Tuesday.
What?
Yeah. Well, I have the AMC pass, so I get 3 movies a week. So like, it doesn't cost anything.
Makes sense.
Because when I initially left it, I would have told you, worst movie I've seen this year, worse than Madam Web, worse than Borderlands, worse than the one I saw after Borderlands.
You think this is worse than Borderlands?
I did at first, but the thing is, okay, so mega-flop-olis is misrepresented.
Mega-flop-olis.
Mega-flop-olis is misrepresented in the trailers because I was under the impression this was a story about an architect played by Adam Driver that was trying to rebuild New York City after a huge disaster. Okay? That's not what this movie is. Instead, our good boy Frankie Ford Coppola, kind of tells
Sir Francis.
Sir Francis. He kind of tells one story and also a side story.
Okay.
But in between all of that are a bunch of nonsense and loose threads and metaphors.
This sounds bad.
And start and stop. And
this sounds bad.
This is not about an architect rebuilding the city of New York after a disaster.
Well, what is it about? I don't think you're spoiling the movie if you tell us what it's about.
Listen, this is...
Say what it's about without spoiling it.
It is about an architect who discovers a new element called Megalon. That's why I didn't want to say that. Because I knew that would happen. This is literally Unobtainium, Transformium, Megalon, and Megalopolis. Kevin's dying off screen. He's back, everybody. He has returned.
I quit.
Do you love that?
I fucking quit. I fucking quit.
Why?
Directors. Serious auteur directors with fucking star-studded careers just naming an element some nonsensical bullshit.
Okay.
Looking at you, Unobtainium.
Okay, look.
Looking at you, Megalon.
Free Transformium.
Looking at you, Transformium.
Okay, here's the thing, Kevin. You ready? I'm going to just go ahead and spoil this movie because here's the thing. Don't waste your money.
Okay. Spoilers for MegaFLOPolis right here.
This movie sucks!
Hit me.
I think that this could be for some people, but here's the thing. It's about Adam Driver is an architect. He has this new element called Megalon. He wants to use it to create a utopia in a city that is very similar to
Why
New
don't
York.
they call it Utopium?
Hold on.
Okay.
He wants to create a utopia out of the city.
Yeah.
The city is called New Rome.
Why don't they call it New Romium?
Because they didn't think
All right,
of that.
keep going.
Megalon. You stop it. And it's not New York City, but it is New York City. And then there's the mayor.
It's called New Rome.
Yes, it's called New Rome. The mayor.
Sir Francis. Nail. Head. All right, keep going.
The mayor doesn't like the architect. And the architect ends up falling in love with the mayor's daughter. And there's also this rich banker guy who has a son played by Shia LaBeouf who's trying to sabotage everybody. Aubrey Plaza is there as a news journalist who originally is fucking the architect, but then starts fucking the old guy that's in charge of the bank in order to take over his company. There's so much that happens in it, but here's the funny part.
It sounds
kind of want.
It sounds like a bunch of movies got turned down. And Francis was like, "I'm gonna just wrap them all up into one."
Okay, the disaster that they talk about, or that's mentioned or hinted at, about halfway through the movie,
was the disaster a Francis Ford Coppola movie?
Yeah, it rained Godfather 3 movies down from space, and they killed people on impact.
Oh my god! All right, sorry.
A Soviet satellite carrying explosive radioactive substance rains down specifically over New Rome and destroys pockets of the city.
Oh, so it's New Rome, not New York City, but the Soviet Union still here. Got it. Got it. Brilliant.
It's in the days of... So, the end of the movie, Adam Driver gets to create his utopia, which is just a bunch of plant leaf looking buildings that morph. But I want to focus on one. Yeah, it's bad.
What?
I want to focus on one thing in this movie.
No, hold on. They're what?
They look like plants.
They're plants.
They're made out of the megalon, and they like move and adapt and expand.
They're plants made out of megalon.
Oh, he also created moving sidewalks because there's this thing that he shows off in the movie. He's like, everybody will get around using this, and they'll be at a bus station within 5 minutes, and it's literally just like this.
Why are there buses
liquid.
if you have moving sidewalks?
Well, because dude, it moves so slow. It moves slower than the fucking moving sidewalk at the airport.
You know what? I quit again.
No, come back. I gotta tell you this. Because this will make you mad too.
Fine.
And then you can quit.
Fine.
Let me make you mad a little bit more, and then you can quit.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this like side plot that Adam Driver's character, the architect, had this wife that died under mysterious circumstances, and the guy who's currently the mayor was the prosecutor in the case. So, here's the thing. The wife drives off a bridge in a car and drowns and kills herself, and he gets blamed for the murder. And then it turns out
hear where this is going.
Then it turns out
Yep.
that the element megalon
Yep.
is made from his dead wife. From the love of his dead wife.
It's made?
Yeah, it was created through the love of his dead wife.
You know what? Outro music. We're done here today. I can't take any more. Nope. I don't want to hear you protest.
I want to tell you more about the movie.
No. Outro music now. It's playing already. Here it comes.
There's a Coliseum moment with clowns.
No.
And bad CGI. And lions and chariot racing. And Shia LaBeouf wears a dress. And a girl that plays ukulele in real life that won America's Got Talent shows up.
That's enough.
And they auction off her virginity.
That's enough.
I'm not kidding.
That's enough.
Look.
We're done. We're done with MegaFLOPolis. Okay? We're done with it. And anybody who withstood listening to our intro/outro theme, Triumphant
It's also
brand.
broken up into segments that are narrated by Lawrence Fishburne's character.
Why are we getting these old actors to narrate bad movies?
It'll spend like 30 seconds on screen,
What
and
is
he just
this?
like reads off what it is, and it's like an old Roman kind of architecture. And his character breaks the fourth wall.
This doesn't even make sense.
What else in this movie do I want to say?
I don't know. I hope nothing. This is all I want to hear of this movie.
There's a parade for the mayor at one point.
I'll let you
Everyone hates him though. Everyone hates the mayor.
But there's a parade anyway.
Yeah.
Apparently everyone hates the mayor, but the parade committee.
Okay.
Like,
and
we
this
fucking love this guy.
Okay. This is how the movie ends.
Parade committee. We're a mayor stan.
This is how it.
We stand this fucker.
Like throughout, Adam Driver's character like does a lot of drugs and gets drunk and like feels like he's somewhat responsible for his wife's death or whatever. But he falls in love with the mayor's daughter.
Yeah.
And then it turns out they're gonna have a baby together.
Oh wow!
But,
What's the baby's
mayor
name?
Hates him, remember?
MegaFLOPolis.
So she ends up having the kid, and then the movie ends with this like symbolism and metaphor that like the future belongs to the new generation. So here's the
it definitely does because Sir Francis should have quit.
Yeah, it made $4 million so far on a $100 million budget of his own money. So the thing about MegaFLOPolis, right? There's this through plot about Adam Driver's character wanting to basically like be allowed to build his utopia, which ends up happening in the end. But there's so many like small metaphors. Like, okay, there's one moment in the Coliseum, like in the new Coliseum, which is like just a Vegas stage show with like two chariots that go in like a very small track.
What?
But I can't remember the real life lady's name, but the young ukulelist, she's like 20 in real life, but her character is allegedly 16 in the movie, right?
Yeah.
And
they come out and they sing the hit Broadway number "You Can Lay This Ukulelist."
No.
She plays this ukulelist. Her virginity is for sale. Hey. All right.
She plays a song while they auction off her virginity, and it gets up to like $100 million because she's like 16 and she's saving herself.
Do I hear $100 million for her virginity?
No, she's literally just playing like this like really soft song and everything. And then,
oh my God,
Shia LaBeouf's character is trying to sabotage Adam Driver's character.
To eat her.
So he gives a USB to the people at the show or whatever, and they play this clip on all the screens of her having sex with Adam Driver's character, but she's 16, remember? So it's like statutory rape.
Okay.
But here's the twist.
Wow.
she's really 23 in the movie, and it was deep faked because that whole thing that whole thing that I just described happens over the course of like 15 minutes in a 2 hour and 15-minute movie, and that one little section is just like all a metaphor about like, hey, be careful about deep fake technology because it can get you in trouble. See, like this. There's a bunch of those in this movie. Little 10, 15-minute sequences that go nowhere ultimately, but like have this like message behind them.
Look out, straight dudes. Deep fake technology's coming for you next. Here's the thing.
Isn't that crazy though? There's a bunch of those little things in it.
So fucking dumb.
And it's like bad green screen and like narration, and like sometimes like the actors feel like they're in one movie and then the next scene they feel like they've never acted a day in their life before.
Oh my god.
Like it's so weird.
Yeah, no, pass. Pass on all of it. Pass.
I would probably pass. I'm going to see it again maybe.
No.
I might.
I'm not saying it once.
You should see it. No. We should do a commentary on it.
Yeah, like a year from now when I've forgotten about it and you surprise me with it.
In 7 months.
Like a year from now.
7 months.
Give me 12.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Good movie. I think it's worth seeing. I think Francis Ford Coppola is a visionary.
That's the clip I'm gonna play. I think Francis Ford Coppola is a visionary.
I think this is as good as Godfather 3. The bad one.
Great. We love that.
You want to know a fun fact?
What?
I've never seen any of the Godfather movies.
Look, this is what happens when you drink too much of your own wine, and then you think you have a good idea, and then the studio turns down your good idea, so you just keep doing it, and then you have like 4 other ideas, and then the studio keeps turning it down. Then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna sell a bunch of my shit and produce it myself. You know what? Here's the real win here. Francis Ford Coppola spent his own money to make this piece of garbage that's not gonna make its money back, and a lot of people probably got the chance to work on a crazy film that they may have never even gotten the chance to work on because he was making this film right here, right now for us. And they got paid for it, and good for them. And I hope they are the child metaphor next generation that he's referring to, and they make better movies than this because they go, hey, remember that really shit movie we worked on that cost $100 million? Yeah, let's never do that again.
Well, I mean, I know you're not a fan of the movie The Creator, but that movie had a small budget and looked insanely good. I want to find...
That movie... Dude... You always preface it with, I know you're not a big fan of The Creator. I told you the things I liked about that movie.
I will never say
I led compliments first out of that movie because I knew that the big point that I drove home, which makes sense, by the way, you're going to take as me not like it. I don't like the story, and I don't like that it doesn't make sense at multiple points. But I did love...
the effects
the
and everything.
cinematography,
we talked about it. I know
the
you like
graphic, yeah.
But my point is that if this happened to him before, he after doing The Godfather Part 1, Part 2, and Apocalypse Now, he did that movie One from the Heart in 1982.
Yep.
And he funded it with his own money.
Yep.
And then it flopped.
Yep.
So he did Godfather Part 3
Yep.
to make up for his losses, right?
Yep. And Godfather 3 sucked, but it made money.
Yeah, of course it did.
Yeah.
So this movie
Then he did Godfather 4.
This was his like doing that again kind of thing, like using his own money.
Yeah.
And look,
he's learned
props on him for like taking this leap, but he slipped before he jumped. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's okay to age out of telling stories, right? If you're someone who creates stories, right? You have a window within which that you create them, and it's for the time frame in which the people who are in a similar perspective on the world, who were born within certain dates, like it's kind of bookended, right? Like there are people who exist within a window who are your target audience, who will understand every reference and thing that you're trying to do because they have perspectives that are similar to yours based on the time that you've spent on this planet. Your peer group, right? You have a target peer group, but as you get older, your chances of not communicating the same as the new group go up. They only increase with time.
Mm-hmm.
So you either hire younger people to help you write, or
you do what he did and be an 85-year-old who's out of touch and waste your money.
Retire. You're 4 years away from being Maggie Smith's age, and look what happened to her. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God. Move on.
Okay,
Place out.
Come on, that joke was right there. I could not do that. No. That was good. Look, I'm Irish, baby. We make fun of death all the time.
I guess.
We make fun of death. Dude, we laugh at funerals, man. All right, anyway.
You know what?
Speaking of laughing at funerals, here's a movie that had at least 6 funerals and somebody laughing all the way to the bank. It's Clue. That's a joke. Clue actually bombed in the box office. People didn't get it at the time. No, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
No? How did it do?
No. It did really well.
Oh, really?
Look at the box office.
Hit me.
Look at the box office.
Oh, yeah. Look it up, buddy.
Okay.
Clue. So I'm in a live improvised version of Clue this week, and I took it upon myself to rewatch the cult classic starring Tim Curry and a whole mess of other people who are amazing and have had great careers.
It didn't bomb.
Didn't do well. Anyway,
it made $14.6 million off a $15 million budget.
That is not success, though.
It's close enough.
Odie.
Yes.
It did not do well.
It did fantastic. You're right.
Great. Yeah, sure. whatever you want to say to be more correct here. But the truth is, even in the documentary about Clue, they mention, hey, this did not do well in theaters. And a lot of people left going like, we don't really get that. But it became a cult classic over time. It's very similar to, some other movies that Tim Curry is in. Like, he's been in a few cult classics that bombed at the time. Like, Legend came back from the dead. Like, that movie's not that great, but people will still watch that movie ironically and sometimes unironically. Rocky Horror Picture Show was a low-budget movie that ended up reaching cult classic fame, but didn't start out there.
His It version.
I
know that.
Yeah, It. I mean, it did well. But like,
well, it was a TV too. It was a 2-part TV event too, so more room for success. But his Pennywise was like wildly loved.
Oh, so good. People still love it. But yeah, so like watching Clue, I decided to watch it to kind of do some research. And something that I noticed right off the rip that I kind of wanted to bring up, you and I talked about it briefly, was like the pacing of this movie for the majority of the film feels to me, going back to what we were talking about with Francis Ford Coppola, the pacing to me feels slow. Like, as I'm watching it, like, they're holding beats longer. There's like longer single shots on like almost not really a talking head, but like someone kind of like facially reacting to a piece of information. And I get it, it's a murder mystery, but it feels slow.
Yeah, I've seen the original Clue once. Sorry, I forgot I have to order our dinner.
It's okay.
So,
why are you always multitasking on the podcast now? What is this? You're literally on the clock. You're like,
no, I'm
ordering dinner.
No, I was listening to you. I've seen the original Clue once.
Yeah.
And I will be the first to say this too. I like the original Clue. I want to say that. But when it comes to Clue knowledge, my expertise comes in the board game because I used to love playing Clue.
Yeah.
I would play it with friends all the time. I even remember the version of Clue, the very first one they came out with, where they had this little speaker box on the board game, and it would like do like voice things with you and stuff, and it was like new updated characters, and there was like a greenhouse and stuff, and it was all this like, it was a kind of mansion and stuff. There's all the special edition Clue games. I've said this before, and I think you and I have even talked about it before.
Hit me.
On the pod and off the pod. One of my favorite type of movie is murder mystery detective.
Yeah.
So like Clue as a concept, goofy on top of that.
Yeah.
We don't clap anymore at the intro, by the way.
What?
We haven't clapped in a couple weeks in the intro.
I'll put them in post. It's fine.
We didn't even clap ever.
Well, I'll put it in. It's fine.
Okay.
I'll go back.
Okay.
I'll put it in. It'll be fake as hell this week, but you know what? It'll be like MegaFLOPolis. We'll fix it in post.
Sorry, mega-flop-olis.
Fix it in pre.
You like my joke, mega-flop-olis?
Yeah.
I came up with that.
Next week we'll fix it in pre. I'll remember to clap.
Fix it in pre next week. Fix it in post this.
Yeah. Anyway, so Clue, beloved game, also I think also owned by Hasbro. Not 100%. Not gonna check on that either.
I'll check on that.
But Clue, people love playing the game. Movie comes out, doesn't succeed. We'll just leave it at that. But it ends up becoming a cult classic. Now, I didn't know how popular this was going to be, like even just doing an improvised version of it until we threw it out there and I like promoted it a little bit online. And people were like, I want to come to this. Like, people love this movie. And it's not just the game. People love the movie, and they attach and attribute a lot of different attributes of the characters to the movie version. Not necessarily to like any description you would get from a board game or like a Wikipedia page that doesn't include references to those characters, but more specifically to the way that they played out in the movie because so many people have seen it and love it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. The movie rights are belonging to Sony, so don't get your breath up for a good movie.
Okay.
And then the Hasbro owns the rights to the Clue board game. So
okay. So so they do own the game. So Sony's actually remaking Clue right now, right? That's what you said?
Yes. Me? So it is. I got some information on that.
Hey, me.
It is starring Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman.
Oh, wow.
But Jason Bateman is no longer directing.
Probably
Instead,
good. Directing.
He's a good director. He's directed some stuff. I like him.
Yeah.
Instead, it's the director of I don't really know him for anything. He did the 2 Muppets movies and a couple like Percy Jackson TV show episodes.
Hit me.
His name is James Bobbin.
Okay.
But it looks...
Wait, which Muppet movies did he do?
All of them.
Oh.
Well, not all of them. Sorry.
The new ones.
He did Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted, the 2014 and like 2018 one.
Oh, those are actually good.
Yeah. He also, it's written by the people that did, and remember, the stars Ryan Reynolds, but it's the writers of Deadpool, Deadpool 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Six Underground.
Oh.
Famous Ryan Reynolds movie.
This will actually be good.
Zombieland Double Tap.
Yeah.
The writers actually... Rhett Reese, I like him.
Yeah, as long as the writers understand the timing, right? Because the movie and here's what I'll say: as the movie progresses and the tension rises, the pace picks up, and then gets to a level where I was like, oh yeah, okay, no, this is more the comedic timing that I'm used to. But it's still like there are some scenes that drag on. They kind of lean into the it is a spoof of that type of like murder mystery motif. So I get why some of the scenes are dragging on, right? It's direct homage, but I don't think that's always intentional. I think like part of it could have been edited to make it a little bit faster. But the end of the movie, Tim Curry, very famously, if nobody's seen this like movie from 1985, Tim Curry very famously wraps up the case in this is not in the theatrical version. This is in like the version you can watch right now on Amazon Prime for free. He wraps up the case, kind of dragging everybody around the mansion as he runs and reenacts the whole thing, right? Just explaining like what happened and why so-and-so is the murderer, right? He ends up determining it's Miss Scarlet at first, and then the movie goes, that could have been what happened. Here's another option for you. And then they do the whole ending again. But it's him dragging everybody around and explaining why it was, I think at this time, Mrs. Peacock, right? And then he goes back around and then it's like, that also could have been how it happened. But here's how it really happened. They do the final ending. In the final ending, it turns out everybody has killed someone. And then Tim Curry, was actually Mr. Body and got his butler to pretend to be Mr. Body so he could get him murdered in his place. Mm-hmm. And then Mr. Green shoots him, and the last line of the movie is Mr. Green going, because the whole thing was earlier in the movie, he admitted, he was like, I work for the State Department and I'm gay, and that's my scandal. And then at the end of the movie, he goes, I'm going to go home and make love to my wife, just in case anybody here was wondering whether or not there was a shard of truth to the gay thing. It's not. I'm not protesting too much, I swear. And the movie just freeze frames and ends on that line, which is, I mean, funny, classic, 1980s humor, whatever. Okay. But ultimately, like, people loved that treatment of the movie, and that's what ended up giving it like the cult classic, fame, right? Like, and the humor does really land still. Like, rewatching it, I was laughing out loud.
Yeah.
I
haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't remember much.
Well, what you have seen is a lot of murder mysteries, and I did mean to ask you in bringing this up because this week, officially, we're in October, officially recognized 31 days of Halloween. Okay? It's going to be spooky season. Do murder mysteries, Odie, and you cannot ever change this answer. Whatever you say right now, you're stuck with it for the rest of your life. Do murder mystery movies belong in spooky season?
Yes.
I disagree. No, I'm just kidding. I agree.
Literally, watch the movie Longlegs. I mean, that is a mystery about a murderer. And it is spooky, and it belongs in that season. Watch any like serial killer.
What about Glass Onion?
I mean, like anything, right? It depends on if it.
What about
fits.
The Man in the Brown Suit?
Well, I'm saying if it fits in the genre, because like there's movies that classify themselves as spooky movies that I would not say belong in the category of spooky movies.
Hold on, murder mystery. What about Nancy Drew?
Well, obviously Nancy Drew is spooky. Come on, Kevin. I mean, I see your point, but I do think that there are some murder mysteries and like serial killer things that could belong in spooky season.
Yeah.
I also think that there are things like Glass Onion and Knives Out and like Scooby-Doo and shit that like clearly don't.
I would say murder mystery definitely like it walks a line where here's how I would classify it. I would say murder mystery can be broken up into two subsets, right? Where there's more of the real crime thriller murder mystery, right? And then there's more of the horror thriller murder mystery, right? Where it's like, oh, it might even be a demon who's possessed someone. It might be, you know, like there's a lot of murder mysteries that can lean into horror elements because we're dealing with the classic elements that end up making up the horror genre, right? But in this Venn diagram, very few of them do both.
I agree.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, all of them murder mysteries, all of them mystery movies, right? In the middle are the few that can do like horror and like more of the thriller murder mystery. Like I would actually say Mindhunter does a very good job as a show.
I would agree.
Of being mostly in the realm of like true crime murder mystery, but then also really leaning into the horror element of how that true crime comes to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another thing for you then.
Yeah, hit me.
I am in the middle of my videos for spooky season for Magnum Opus.
Okay.
My 4 lineup, and in the second one, I don't want to give anything away.
Okay.
In the second movie, I don't like it. I didn't like the movie. I hated it.
A channel that reviews bad movies didn't like one of these movies?
Well, because again, the thing is to see if they're so bad they're good.
Yeah,
which,
that's true.
You know, there's a lot of them aren't supposed to be in that category because that's supposed to be, you know. So obviously, a lot of them are going to be bad.
Yeah.
But anyways, there's a part of that where I mention that I love horror movies.
Wait, is this a movie that I've seen?
No, you have not seen this one.
Say it real quick and I'll beep it out.
Slender Man.
Okay.
So there, I
Just
mentioned
kidding,
that
I'm
one
not
of the things.
Beep that out.
Please, you better.
I'm gonna beep it out. I'm just kidding.
And you better beep out me cursing just then. But I say that like one of the reasons I love horror movies is I get some of my favorites like Scream, which is a slasher. I also get another favorite horror movie of mine, Nope, which is a horror movie in a different way. Yep. You know, I love horror movies because
Nope is a horror movie in a different way. Yep.
Yep, Nope. But like with horror movies, you can take any concept you want and turn it into a horror movie. And we have seen that in so many different ways. And that is one of the reasons I love horror movies. So it's, in a lot of ways, it's almost hard to fuck up a horror movie because all you have to do is have an a somewhat interesting premise to then layer your horror element on top of and just make sure it works. But like,
how much of the plot or how much of like what we see in one of those movies needs to be horror for it to classify as horror?
I mean, I think it depends on your level of horror that you want. Like, I would say a movie like Long Legs, which does have somewhat of a supernatural element, and I know I've talked about it a lot, but it's a really fucking good movie.
So if someone's afraid of water and they're watching Avatar 2, is this a horror movie?
Well,
I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know, because like the Meg, right?
Yep.
I mean, people with thalassophobia and that are scared of sharks because of Jaws.
Yeah, that's kind of a horror movie, isn't it?
Could consider that a horror movie.
Or is it an action movie?
It has moments of horror in it where like people bob up and down in the water and then the shark like appears and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But overall, it's more of an action movie. But there are some horror elements into it. So
action horror.
I mean, it's an interesting scale. Depending on how you want to slice it. But again, I think it's personal preference. I think like anything involving subjective material like movies and stuff, I think it depends on what you personally want.
Yeah. You know what we should do this spooky season is while we're watching movies, we should work to classify them as either horror first or horror second, right? Or not horror at all, maybe just thriller, right? Like we should definitely, we should be like, is this horror first or horror second? And is it a thriller? And if it's not horror, is it only thriller? Right? You know, like we should definitely, we should, if we remember. I'm not going to hold us to it. But
it's hard to say.
So I agree with you. Murder mysteries can fall into the horror category. Almost anything can become a horror movie, right? I mean, like stretch it out and involve enough like pain, suffering, and things that people are afraid of, right? Then it's just horror.
You know what's a great example?
Four Christmases. No, wait, what?
No. the new Invisible Man, because it's technology, but still very much has the horror
It's
premise.
Sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what Alien is. It's sci-fi
and that's
horror.
the guy that did the Invisible Man is doing the new Wolfman.
Do you think Predator movies are horror movies?
I mean, I would consider most creature features horror. Would you consider
thriller.
Tremors?
Tremors, I would say the first one, yes. All the rest of them, comedy.
What about Jurassic Park?
Actually, they're all kind of horror comedy. Jurassic Park, no, not a horror.
Okay.
Jurassic Park is adventure, sci-fi, thriller.
It's definitely not a horror. In my opinion.
It's not horror. No, not at
all.
But
I would agree with Tremors. I would say that like Jaws belongs in horror.
Yes, Jaws is proper horror. Yep.
Creature features.
They're leaning into that.
But I think dinosaurs don't really count as creature features. I know there's been some like attempts, but like the only one that comes to mind is that movie 65 with Adam Driver. But like that wasn't very good.
Well, then you've got the realm of like psychological horror, which I think a lot of times
Silence of the Lambs.
Psychological horror, psychological thriller, right? So like psychological thriller, right? Think like I'm trying to remember.
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
No.
How'd they all fit in those pants?
Surprisingly,
How'd they all fit in them?
not.
Psychological
thriller, definitely. I would say American Psycho is a really good example of that.
Great example.
And even though there's horror element, also a horror movie, but I would say it's psychological thriller first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shutter Island.
What's that?
Shutter Island.
Shutter Island, psychological thriller more than horror, right? So like there are movies that deal more with the psychological element. They're more like thrilling or like thriller chiller type stuff where like maybe there's not a lot of horror going on, but it definitely fucks with your head, like Cube is like sci-fi thriller with horror elements, so like murder mysteries, I think they fall into, the category of horror thriller. They can rather. Clue, I do not think falls into a horror category at all.
No, because
it's murder
more
mystery
silly.
Comedy, right?
Yes, it's like See How They Run with Sam Rockwell.
Yep, Sam Rockwell. And what's good about that is it gives it room to kind of like explore its own space, right? One thing that I really like is they literally hand everybody a murder weapon in like, which is great because that's kind of what happens in the game. Like everybody is given a card, right? Like the movie really does a great job of mimicking the game and the steps that you go through. We've assembled all the characters, who shows up first, who gets what item, like who's got what clue to deal with to try and solve this thing. The movie does such a good job of piecing that together and then showing how players might navigate through a game of Clue and the murder mystery created therein by splitting up and exploring different rooms, having different hunches, like discovering new clues along the way. So like it does a really good job of playing out the way that a board game might over a long form with a plot.
Yeah. Yes, I love it. I'm going to ask you this question.
Hit me.
What's your jam?
Oh, are we done?
Yes, because it's late. I work tomorrow.
What time is it?
There. It is 7:40 for me.
Okay, yeah, it's very late. All right, just real quick, Clue. On a scale of what's a good scale for this? On a scale of one glass of brandy to a singing telegram, singing telegram being the best it could possibly be. What do you rate it?
One carrier pigeon.
Oh, okay, sick.
Yeah.
So closer to telegram. Got it.
Yeah.
I would give it a singing telegram. I loved it. I loved rewatching it, even though I was like, I kind of crammed it. Like I kind of like.
In bed tonight.
I watched it as I fell asleep, and then when I woke up, I did exactly what I told you I would do. So I kind of watched it in 2 parts, which was great. I'm really excited to do it this week. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. My jam. You give me your jam this week because
no.
you've thrown me off.
First. You can't. No. That's what you do to me. This is what I'm saying. They throw you off.
Oh,
this is what you do
okay.
every single week. Now you know what it feels like.
I ask you every week because you're supposed to have your jam ready.
You're supposed to have your jam ready, Kevin.
My jam's very easy. My jam this week is Bill Murray, the band. They were playing today at the market that I was at. It's spooky season. So our girl Holland, she's doing her Dead Girl Dead Art, right? She's jamming. And somebody put on like what very clearly was like an Issues Bill Murray Rain City Drive playlist, and we were just jamming out to that all day. And second shout out to, I would say, semi-professional or rather just professional. Yeah, she's doing it professionally. Hula hoop artist Beetle Hoops, who was performing at the market today. It was an oddities market down in down in Johnstown,
Hoops?
New York. Yep, Beetle Hoops. Who brought this is my jam, and I'll give you a quick description why. Beetle Hoops performed 3 times at the market today. We were there from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and within that window there were 3 separate performances. Obviously, it's a scripted performance. It's kind of like a magic performance, right? Beetle Hoops brought an assistant with her. First off, Beetle Hoops is wearing a flame retardant Beetlejuice style like tutu. Like there was like a skirt, and it was like a one piece thing going on. And they have orange and black hair, right? And then they brought their like assistant attendant who wore all black with like big boots with big heels and then cat ears. And it was really, really funny because you can tell like they're definitely at the beginning of their career, but they're doing everything that they possibly can. And first off, the hula hooping was on par. It was banger. But their assistant with the cat ears would like kind of like they hadn't rehearsed this bit. You could tell because they would be like, that wasn't that impressive. One hula hoop. I bet that kid over there could hula hoop with one hula hoop. And then Beetle Hoops would be like, that kid right there. Like you're just like, yeah, that's what she pointed at. It's very clearly there's only like 10 of us here right now. It's definitely that kid right there. Yeah.
He's already run away though.
Like,
he's gone.
Yeah, the kid's gone.
Like, no thanks.
But because they hadn't rehearsed it, like they kept making jokes about like, I hope everybody's got great insurance because you can have a lot of insurance that you only got one face if you get hit with this hula hoop that we're gonna light on fire right now. And like it was like like they would do that and they'd be like, that kid over there probably couldn't do this. And it's like,
yeah, no shit, a kid couldn't hula hoop on fire hula hoop.
I'm standing in the audience and like I'm just like, this is funny. I'm just gonna start interacting. I'm like, wow, I just yelled back at them. I was like, wow, that kid over there is getting a lot of shade today. Like,
Jesus.
But anyway,
sounds awesome though.
Yeah, but shout out to Beetle Hoops for holding it down and blindfolding. Here's where they get the real shout out. They hula hooped with the hula hoop on fire, blindfolded, and I was like, all right.
10
Look,
out of 10.
everyone needs to applaud right now because none of us standing around here could do that right
exactly.
now. None of us could do that right now. It doesn't even matter if they drop it and pick it back up and start again. None of us can do that right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's my jam. Beetle
Love
hoops. Which I've definitely said more than 3 times. Where are they?
Yeah, exactly. Right. You said it like a million, but it's fine.
All right.
You made them appear, and then they disappeared because you actually said it 6 times.
I said it 6 times, yeah. They're gone.
Right. My jam is a show on Amazon Prime. I'm almost done with the first season. Speaking of spooky season, we started it to go into October.
Yeah, hit me.
It's called From.
Yeah. I've been seeing ads for that.
I'm loving this show so far. Good element, good mystery. It's got the guy that played Horatio in the Romeo and Juliet movie that has Leonardo DiCaprio in it as the lead.
Yeah.
Really good. I'll probably report on it more when we catch up all the way through it.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just been really good.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much my only jam, except for I will say Bad Omens and Sleep Token get a special shout out because I am gonna get to go see them perform together in Dallas in November.
Texas.
And I am super excited because I've never seen Bad Omens or Sleep Token, but Bad Omens is my favorite band.
That's gonna be so good.
They're playing with Linkin Park, but I'll be honest, I'm not a huge Linkin Park fan, so I'm just
gonna watch the openers and leave.
So we're gonna watch them, and then we're gonna go to their merch tables, and then we're gonna leave.
Big recommendation: go to a Sleep Token merch table first.
Well, so we're actually going to try to get to the concert 2 hours early because I knew that.
Yeah.
So we'll probably just watch the openers after we get our we'll probably get the merch, take it to our car, go watch the openers, and then leave.
Yeah.
Go to dinner or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my
cool.
jam.
Amazon actually they have a couple really good spooky season series. Like if you're looking to get into more, and if anybody listening, I highly recommend them. Them has good. 2 seasons, and the first season I watched that with Chloe when it first came out, and both of us were like entranced. We were like, oh my god, this is really good, and also a lot of like appropriate commentary.
Very good.
The second season is scarier. The second season, like right off the bat, I was like, oh shit, like this is really leaning into the horror. And then the other one that I wanted to bring up was it's on Amazon, and why can I no I just wanted to bring up Mindhunter again.
Good show.
Adriana has not watched Mindhunter yet, so that's what we're going to be watching this spooky season.
Sounds good.
And that's it.
Goodbye.
That's all. Okay. That's fine. You just goodbye?
I have more Dr. Pepper Zero to go drink.
Theoretically.
Theoretically. I'm recording and I am here. My name is Odie and that's Kevin and we are here.
I'm really glad I had my screen up because I didn't have the fucking 48 volt on, which is Phantom Power. Danny Phantom Power. This is the Unpop song.
Unpop song.
Yeah, it is. All right, there it is. That's the Unpop song now. That's the new intro. It's just us waving our hands in the air singing the Unpop song.
I think Francis Ford Coppola is a visionary.
That's the clip I'm going to play. I think Francis Ford Coppola is a visionary.